The year was 1964, and a brand new sound hit the airwaves, the Merrymen.
And he was always so quiet. Yes, you cannot.
Their success was also instantaneous, in Barbados and throughout the Caribbean, as locals and tourists danced to the Merrymen's captivating rhythms. This was Merrymania.
I asked my lady, what should I do?
Like the Beatles, they recorded at the legendary Abbey Road Studios in London, under the watchful eye of the Fab Four's brilliant director, George Martin. The Merrymen's music spread like wildfire, and in no time they were appearing on major TV shows in England and the most prestigious venues around the country. They even played in Trafalgar Square. The Merrymen were very hot property, and they soon winged their way to Canada, playing to sell-out crowds at Expo 67, together with top venues across the country. They also found time for yearly tours, performing at all the major cities coast to coast. To this day, the Merrymen still hold the record for drawing the largest crowd at Ontario Place in Toronto.
You can put your two hands up in more, rock your body to and fro, slide a hand up to your chest, let your waistband do the rest. When you really get the song, man, you wind up till you touch the ground. Then you jump and you spin, but remember to sing.
In the States, it was much the same story, where they kicked off with the prestigious halftime show at the Super Bowl.
Guest performers from the islands of the Caribbean, from the Island of Barbados, the Merrymen.
Together with performances at all the top venues. Back home in Barbados, the venues were much smaller, but their home base, the Pepper Pot, was always packed to capacity, and they still found time to thrill guests at the larger hotels. Perhaps the most popular performances were on the famous Jolly Roger pirate ship. These moonlight cruises were total magic.
Sugar bum, sugar bum, bum. Sugar bum, sugar bum, bum. Sugar bum,
So,
sugar bum, bum.
after a career lasting more than 40 years and releasing over 40 albums, they are still in great demand at major events. Their hits include Beautiful Barbados and many more that have become true Caribbean classics.
Hello, my name is Robin Hunt. I come from the beautiful island of Barbados, which is far out in the eastern Caribbean. Lots of beaches, lots of sparkling, lovely water, and you should come sometime. I want to tell you about tenor guitars and how I came to play a tenor guitar. When I was a tiny little boy, maybe 12 years old, my parents gave me a tenor banjo. Why? I don't know. I didn't ask for it, but it sure was the best gift someone ever gave me in my life. And they couldn't find me for a couple of days after because I vanished from home and went into an area that is not so well off in Barbados, but where, as far as I was concerned, they were very rich because they played guitar music, and that's what I wanted to learn. So I went there and took my tenor banjo and a chord book, showed it to this guy who was a carpenter by nature or by calling, and he played guitar, and he looked at this banjo and he said, yes, I can show you some chords on this banjo. And he did. And I went there several times and he showed me various chords and how to strum. A couple of months later, he brought out a guitar and we started to play together. Him on guitar, me on banjo. And the sound that the tenor banjo and the guitar gave together stuck with me for a lifetime because it was unique. The rhythm that the two instruments gave together. Heaven. The band that called the Merrymen started in 1962-63, and we've only had 2 changes in the 50 years. One in 1970, who was a lead guitar player, and the other one is a drummer who changed in 1976. So the band is together. And we seem to move from pillar to post, whether it was in North America, England, or the Caribbean, playing and singing, and developed a style that made people happy. And we will say that happiness is our thing. And it has lived with us up until this day. Now about tenor guitars. When we started this group, I remembered the sound that I got from the tenor guitar or the tenor banjo and the guitar together. And I said, this is a folky type of music. We played some North American folk, we played Caribbean folk, we played calypso, we played what is known as reggae today. And I asked my partners, do you like the sound of this banjo with the other instruments? They said yes. So now I ditched my regular guitar, which was a 6-string, and took up the banjo. And then I must admit I had to start learning chords all over again, which I did. A little while after, in the record store, I saw an album of the Kingston Trio, and one of the guys was playing a 4-string instrument, which was the tenor guitar. I said I must have one. So I imported one of those guitars. From my memory, it was not a Martin, it was a Harmony. First, the little guitar I had was a Harmony. And after I got an amplifier and we were playing and started to use this guitar, playing rhythm in a Caribbean style, not North American, but strumming and doing some picking, it gave the band a sound which was different to anything that was being played in or around the Caribbean at the time. And the sound became very identifiable. When you were playing that without the singer singing, that people could identify immediately, that is the Merrymen. Now I know from music that identification of a sound in a band or a group is very important. I can think of one instance, the Glenn Miller Orchestra had a sound. So off I was now playing tenor guitar and banjo in the group, learning all the time. And I started then to collect tenor guitars along the way, because 50 years you collect a lot of guitars. My wife wants to know, what the hell are you going to do with all these guitars, Robin? I said, don't worry about them. So Martins were the ones that I really played. But I was in Western Florida, Fort Myers, about 3 years ago, and into a record store, a music store, guitar store, and I saw a 4-string instrument hanging on the wall. I took it down, and it was tuned in tenor. I asked the guy how much this was worth, and he told me, and I didn't buy it at the time, but I drove to east to where I was going, which is on the west coast of Florida. And when I got there, I told the guy who was in music as well, He said, Robin, didn't you like that guitar? I said, I like it, I loved it, I'm sorry I didn't buy it. He says, well, we can go back. I said, turn around. Turn around, and we went and got this guitar. It had interesting sound to it. It's a National that was made in 1928, metal. I haven't used it much, but it's there, and I think I will at some time use it. However, the banjo I used was a German banjo called a Framus. I then went and bought quite a few ukuleles, which are getting very popular now. But I took the ukuleles and I put on different strings and tuned them also in tenor. And they also give a higher pitch sound when you're making a record, very interesting sound. So by and large, tenor guitars really have been my thing. I get questions all the time as to why I play that guitar. Don't you want to pay for the other two strings, Robin? I said, well, I'm going to stick with the four that I have. Well, an interesting thing happened to me a few years ago. A tourist to the island of Barbados drove to where I live, and he said to me, do you play a tenor guitar? I said, yes, I do. I said, how do you know? He said, well, I've been sent here. I said, well, why? He says, because I want to know if you want to sell it. I said, you want to buy a tenor guitar? He says, no, I want to buy the one that you were playing last night. I said, I'm not selling it. She says, believe me, I would pay you as much money for that guitar that would buy 10 or 12 new ones. I said, no, I'm not selling it. I don't know what he wanted to do with it. I heard through the grapevine weeks later that he wanted to hang it in a restaurant. But this I don't know. But he wasn't getting it. This is the National tenor guitar. The guy in the guitar shop told me it was made in 1928, and for sure it's true. He gave me the original case that it was in and told me not to get rid of the case. I had him put a thing here to hang the guitar. He said he didn't want to do it because this would interfere with the price of it, being an antique or whatever. I said, put it in there because I want to hang it there to play it. Don't let it worry you. And so he did. But I think they made quite a few of these, but you tenor guitar enthusiasts up there will know better than me. This is the Framus German banjo, very heavy. To play the whole night with this, you would need a crane or some help to deal with the weight.
Maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger.
But a very, very good banjo. There are better ones, of course. I got this one for the price of $100 US because someone came into where I live one night and said, I want to sell a banjo. He says it's a great banjo, etc., but I want to have it. I said, I really don't need another banjo. He says, you would if I told you it was $100 US. I said, yes, I will take it. Thank you. This is a Martin tenor guitar. A guitar like this is what I have been playing with for many years. I have a few of these, and I always found them very true in the fretboard. And I must say, one thing I would have liked to have done was to have visited the Martin guitar company where they made them. Maybe I will one day. I saw this in a guitar store there, and I asked the guy whom I know, I said, what you doing with that? He says, well, ukuleles are now getting very popular again. And I said, how much do they want for that? He told me, and I bought it. But I do not tune it like a ukulele. I tune it like the tenor guitar. I travel with this a lot because it's light, it's small, and I can fool around with it in hotel rooms. But it's a Fender, as you can see, and very well made, and I love it. This Blue Ridge tenor guitar is my latest love. I love it so much that I haven't played it yet on the stage. I don't want to scratch it. I just love it. I do think that they've made a fine tenor guitar, and maybe they've made lovely 6-string guitars also. I haven't seen them yet, but this tenor guitar, Blue Ridge, is a great little instrument. I hope that the tenor guitar will become stronger and stronger and be back in its place of prominence in the US, in blues, in folk music, in whatever music, because it has a part to play, and we'll see. We'll see. I'd like to say a big thank you to Mark Joseph from California, who has been talking to me quite a bit about these tenor guitars, and I'd like to meet you one day, Mark, I'll tell you, and we could have a lot to talk about tenor guitars. And the gathering that you are organizing right now, I'm sure is going to be a big success, and who knows, I may see you sometime, and all I can say is, Mark, thanks a lot. I hate goodbyes. I like hellos. Hello, and take care.